Disinformation is like a virus that is constantly mutating.
Let's dive deeper into concerns around spreading misinformation, its consequences, and securing our vote.
The only thing spreading faster than COVID variants is COVID misinformation. And I'll tell you the latest in tonight's edition of Disinformation Station.
Every time I speak, I want the truth to come out. And even if I get in trouble, you know what I'm saying? Ain't that what we're supposed to do?
It's not something I'm gonna be quiet about. I'm gonna speak the truth when I'm asked about it. This isn't for a look, this isn't for publicity or anything like that. This is for people that don't have the voice.
We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal.
While democracy can be periodically delayed, it can never be permanently defeated. In this truth, in this faith we trust, for while we have our eyes on the future, history has its eyes on us.
We have a responsibility, because we're in everybody's home and on everybody's screens, to tell stories that represent the country that we're in today, and that's what we're trying to do.
There's racial conflict, but we don't actually deal with it. We don't actually confront it.
I have never lied before the Congress, and I do not retract that statement.
That's such a false narrative. Remember, the easiest way to stay out of the hospital and not die is don't get infected.
Black Lives Matter has presented the truth about the American people.
Enough is enough.
Right.
The ACLU has been defending the Constitution for nearly 100 years, and we know a dire threat to our democracy when we see one. But I am so proud to see you all gathered here tonight, speaking truth to power and speaking truth to history.
Hi friends, I'm Kirby Howell-Baptiste. What a great honor it is to welcome you to the ACLU of Southern California's Bill of Rights Awards. The work of the ACLU SoCal takes place across ancestral lands of indigenous peoples, including the Tongva and the Chumash. These are the traditional caretakers of this land, and we acknowledge and honor their legacy. The ACLU is a national organization with offices in every state. The ACLU of Southern California serves the needs of this region, but its cases and causes have far-reaching implications. So when it comes to the ACLU, what happens in SoCal doesn't necessarily stay in SoCal. In fact, the work done here often has a national impact. We are here tonight to support the ACLU of Southern California in its goal to safeguard and fulfill the promises of the Bill of Rights. In turn, the ACLU SoCal is recognizing several distinguished individuals with its Bill of Rights Awards. Tonight, the specific focus of these awards is on people who speak truth to power, because truth builds trust, and right now, trust is in short supply. There's an old saying, a lie is halfway around the world before the truth has a chance to get its pants on. The people receiving awards tonight are people of incredible courage and character who got out of bed, pulled up their pants, and dared to walk past all the lies to carry the truth before the seat of power. Individuals who decided to tell it like it is, where it matters, despite the chaos and the clamor. So, without further ado, let's get to it, shall we? You are in for some remarkable honorees and an incredible lineup of presenters. A special thank you in advance to tonight's benefactors, our Liberty and Justice leader, Stars Lionsgate, our champions, the Apatow Mann Family Foundation, Suzanne Lerner and the Michael Stars Foundation, Munga Tolson Olson, Sidley Austin, Alan Soroti, and all of our other supporters that have made this night possible. The truth is not just important. It's one of civilization's most precious resources, one to be shared on a collective and interpersonal level. Personally, if I want the truth, the brutal truth, I go to my mum. If I want the truth sprinkled with a few jokes, I go to my best friend. And if I want the truth nicely stated and chopped up into small pieces for easy digestion, I go to my boyfriend. Now, if you want the truth, you've come to the right place. The ACLU of Southern California. So sit back, relax, and get ready for some truth talkers.
Isabella,
I am a citizen and I am Puerto Rican. But for some reason, I always have to explain to some people that Puerto Ricans are U.S. citizens. It is amazing how many people don't know that. So this is your chance. People, listen.
Well, maybe it goes back to West Side Story. They hear I like to be in America and think Puerto Ricans just got off the boat or something.
Yeah, but the song says Puerto Rico's in America.
Yeah, but we're not really taught that in schools. And, maybe we're just too dazzled by your dancing.
Well, thank you. I'll take full responsibility.
Oh, good. Todd's here.
Are you kidding me? I wouldn't miss it.
Hey, Todd, good to see you. I was just telling Isabella, I may not be an immigrant, but I still am passionate about immigrants' rights.
Oh, yeah. And voters' rights and women's rights.
And science.
It's crazy to me that everyone's out there every weekend still having to protest for these things.
But let me just tell you that what really worries me the most these days is the misinformation and disinformation. That's kind of scary.
Right? You fact-check the facts, and then you fact-check the fact-check.
Okay, so how do we hold people accountable when we don't know who's telling the truth? What can we do?
Well, definitely support the ACLU of Southern California, because those lawyers and advocates get in there and they get at the truth. And this is how we support the ACLU of Southern California's Bill of Rights Awards.
Yes, that's why I'm here. I had so much hope that things would get better after the election.
Yeah, well, didn't we all? But, a change in the administration doesn't change the need to protect and defend the Constitution. We need the ACLU as a watchdog in good times and especially in bad times.
Eso mismo, si se puede.
Well, you've come to the right place. And this year, the ACLU of Southern California is honoring people who speak truth to power. You could learn something from these people.
You mean social justice warriors? You know I love those people.
And it is on. It is on.
My mother's English has remained rudimentary during her 40-plus years living in the United States. When she speaks Korean, my mother speaks her mind. She is sharp, witty, and judgmental. But her English is a crush of piano keys that used to make me cringe whenever she spoke to a white person. As my mother spoke, I watched the white person, oftentimes a woman, put on a fright mask of strained tolerance, wide eyes frozen in trapped patience, smile widened in condescension. As she began responding to my mother in a voice reserved for toddlers, I stepped in. From a young age, I learned to speak for my mother as authoritatively as I could. Not only did I want to dispel the derision I saw behind the woman's eyes, I wanted to shame her with my sobering fluency for thinking what she was thinking. I have been partly drawn to writing, I realize, to judge those who have unfairly judged my family, to prove that I've been watching this whole time. I'm Amy Hill.
Suddenly, Americans feel self-conscious of their white identity. And this self-consciousness misleads them into thinking their identity is under threat. In feeling wrong, they feel wronged. In being asked to be made aware of racial oppression, they feel oppressed. While we laugh at white tears can turn dangerous. I am Andrew Sean Greer.
The privilege of assimilation is that you are left alone. But assimilation must not be mistaken for power, because once you have acquired power, you are exposed. And your model minority qualifications that helped you in the past can be used against you, since you are no longer invisible. I'm Alexander Chi.
Rather than look back on childhood, I always looked sideways on childhood. If to look back is tinted with a honeyed cinematography of nostalgia, to look sideways at childhood is tainted with a sicklier haze of envy. An envy that ate at me when I stayed for dinner with my white friend's family or watched the parade of commercials and TV shows that made it clear what a child looked like and what kind of family they should grow up in. But to look sideways has another connotation. Giving side eyes telegraphs doubt, suspicion, and even contempt. I am Bowen Ye.
Dearest Kathy, it is such an honor to be able to present you with this award today. I am so proud to have you as a friend and a fellow citizen, fellow writer, fellow poet in this world. With your book, Minor Feelings and Asian American Reckoning, you have elevated unspoken and unacknowledged traumas that Asian Americans face in this country. In a time when anti-Asian racism is on the rise, and in the face of prejudice and biased statements by former elected officials, you have stood up and spoken out and have provided the words and images and personal context that so many in the Asian American community long for your powerful advocacy for racial justice. The ACLU of Southern California hopes you will accept a 2021 Bill of Rights Award. Congratulations, my dear.
My book, Minor Feelings, An Asian American Reckoning, came out in February 2020, a few weeks before anti-Asian hate spread as its own contagion. Many said that this book is prescient for coming out when it did, but my book is a lifetime's outpouring of rage, sorrow, and frustration that I used to feel living as an Asian American. Asian Americans have been invisible until hypervisible, historically banned from entering this country because of our race. We have been interned, napalmed, part of the impoverished service industry, a Hollywood punchline, a model minority one day, and then pestilence or a terrorist the next day. I called my book Minor Feelings because my minor feelings of rage has been minimized, made trivial, unimportant. But based on the wide readership of this book, and now this Bill of Rights Award, I am grateful, humbled, and honored to see how these minor feelings are now recognized as major. I hope that we don't just pay attention to the discrimination against Asian Americans, but that Asian Americans be included and make ourselves integral to this ongoing struggle of creating a just society, especially as white supremacy and neoliberalism remain on the rise. This is why words cannot express how moved I am for receiving this award from the ACLU. With the election of Trump in 2016, I was deeply frightened that there would be no more checks and balances. The ACLU has been crucial in keeping fascism in check, for fighting every attempt by the right to erode our democratic institutions, and for protecting the rights of the most vulnerable among us. Thank you so much, ACLU of Southern California, for this Bill of Rights Award. I am honored and humbled.
Hello, I'm Diane Warren. I am so pleased to be able to share my song, Somehow You Do, from the film 4 Good Days with you as part of the ACLU SoCal's Bill of Rights Awards. I'm especially excited for you to hear this new version sung by Megan Kabir, which we have recorded specially for this event. Somehow You Do is a song about hope and getting through the worst when all signs point in the opposite direction. I think of the amazing work that the ACLU SoCal is doing in so many areas where a solution seems difficult, but the lawyers and advocates keep pushing on with hope and tenacity that so often brings relief to people suffering injustices. I'm proud to be a supporter, and now enjoy Somehow You Do.
So you're feeling like you've run out of hope, and you're carrying all that weight, and your back's about to break, and you're standing at the end of your rope, and you wanna give up the fight, 'cause you see no relief inside, and it's hard to keep the faith, but the you're in the battle alone, and life's punched a hole in your soul. Yeah, I know you've been brought to your knees, but there's better days up ahead, and you'll be on your feet again, and you're gonna be okay, 'cause the darkest night will find the day. When you think it's the end of the road, it's just 'cause you don't know where the road's leading to. When you think that the mountain's too high and the ocean's too wide, and you'll never get through. Oh, some way, somehow you When you think it's the end of the road, it's just 'cause you don't know where the road's leading to. When you think that the mountain's too high and the ocean's too wide, and you'll never get through. Some way, somehow you do.
Hello, my name is Jacqueline Moore. It can be hard to remember sometimes, but things are improving for transgender people in this country. 10 years ago, my parents in Ohio wouldn't have known what a trans person was, and now they do, for a bunch of reasons. It's a low bar, but it's improvement, right? I mean, I guess trans people are still statistically the most likely to be murdered in America, and that's especially true for trans women of color. And beyond criminal death and very real threats of violence, trans people still face hatred every single day. Being dismissed, ignored, or purposefully misgendered. Small acts. A sneer to make it clear that certain people just think you're gross. Trans people step into public and face open hostility all the time. This situation is aggravated when government backs this hatred and makes it law. Anti-trans laws and regulations, wherever they occur, barring us from bathrooms, school athletics, medical services, these actions greenlight the public hostility. The damages are not isolated to the letter of one hateful law. Make no mistake, discriminatory policies that target trans people in housing, health clubs, hospitals, and the workplace are directly connected to the bottles that are thrown at us in the streets and the sisters we lose to violence each year. Fortunately, the ACLU of Southern California has been a long-standing champion for LGBTQ communities, gender non-conforming people, people living with HIV, and yeah, transgender people. This past year alone, Christine Wood was denied access to a women's locker room. The ACLU SoCal secured a settlement on her behalf and a commitment from the gym to train staff on gender access and California law. Evan Minton was denied surgery at Dignity Health after revealing he was a transgender man. The ACLU SoCal won his lawsuit on the grounds that Dignity Health had flagrantly violated California's non-discrimination law. Adrian, a transgender man and a U.S. veteran, was banned from working for Uber because he had used his chosen name. The ACLU SoCal supported Adrian in securing his right to work as Adrian. They received an apology from Uber and called out the company to support other trans and non-binary community members. Case by case, things are improving. Yeah. But the move has been from 0 to 1, from nothing to something. Now, make no mistake, that is a monumental step, but it's still just one step. So yes, we must remind ourselves to take a moment to celebrate the victories, to celebrate the improvements. But we also must remember that there's still so much work to do. And I, for one, am glad and grateful that the ACLU of Southern California will be by our side to help us do it. Thanks so much.
He was a veteran. He served with honors, but he still got deported. It's unbelievable.
I heard about that. What's the situation?
Okay, so a veteran got deported. Hector Barajas, born in Mexico, raised in Los Angeles. He enlisted in the army after high school, and he could have applied for citizenship right then and there, but the army recruiters let him think that citizenship would automatically happen later, but it doesn't, and it didn't.
God, I have such respect for veterans. They're really and truly the backbone of this country.
Yeah, I mean, he serves and he's decorated, but after his discharge, he's a veteran with no citizenship papers, so he gets deported.
How can you deport a veteran? That means they lose their veterans benefits, their health coverage, education.
Yeah. Deported veterans. How is that a thing?
But it got fixed, right? Now he's a citizen?
Well, the ACLU of SoCal got involved, and yes, they got him his full citizenship.
And you know what? That victory only happens because America makes room for the ACLU.
Well, yes, Todd, but we still have to be diligent. Hector Barajas is not the only deported veteran. If we don't respond with outrage to, outrageous things, our rights slip away.
And that's precisely why the ACLU is in place.
Mm-hmm. Oh, look, we're back.
I think STARS is changing the world. STARS has made a commitment to be a leader by telling stories that represent marginalized communities, people of color, of LGBTQ communities, and that's how we shake it up.
I'm really grateful for what STARS is doing, creating opportunity for women to be able to run shows and to direct.
STARS made it very easy for me to take the lead. They always supported my vision and didn't try and take it over or change it, and that's how it's been from the beginning, is making it more mine.
It's a woman-focused story. We were able to make a better show by having as much involvement from women as possible.
It wasn't going to go to anyone who wasn't a woman of color.
The rule is never about us without us. We need representation. When we don't have a voice and a presence, you are erasing our culture from society.
To be able to represent all parts of our culture and not just one corner of it is a blessing.
I don't think where you exist on the socioeconomic ladder should decide whether or not a series should be created about you. I'm just very committed to telling the stories of all different types of humans.
Don't be afraid of demanding diversity and inclusion. We cannot move forward into an industry that does not see everyone and reflect everyone.
Taking the lead means acting from a place of hope and not from fear. We're not apologizing for the space that we're taking up. We're here because we're worthy of it.
Be you, be bold, be powerful, be courageous, be fearless. Take the lead.
I'm Jeffrey Hirsch, President and CEO of STARS, and I'm joined today by Monica Raymond, the star and the director of our series Hightown. I'm proud to accept this award on behalf of the network for our Take the Lead commitment to narratives by, about, and for women in underrepresented audiences. Thank you for joining me today, Monica. It's so exciting to have you here. You were such an important part of Take the Lead, and I thought it would be better for people in the audience to hear from you about what it means to you.
Thank you. Thanks, Jeff. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me. It's been like one of the greatest moments of my life to be able to be a part of Take the Lead and be a part of STARS. It does feel like a family over at STARS, and I think it's a big testament to you as well and your leadership there. And I feel so humbled and also empowered to be there, especially in the Take the Lead segment. So thanks for having me.
No, you've been a great spokesperson for Take the Lead, and you really are illustrative of what we're trying to do. I mean, season 1, big star. Season 2, even a bigger star. But in season 2, you got to get behind the camera. What was that like?
Yeah, I got to direct Hightown in season 2. 203 is the episode. It was incredible. I mean, it's difficult. It's very challenging to be doing 2 art forms at once, right? But being able to sort of be in the intersection of it and having the support of the crew, of you and of the other producers there, it was like flying. I felt so free and relaxed, but also was very much focused on telling the story from two different chairs, from my actor chair and my director chair.
Well, I've actually always wanted to ask you that, because you obviously direct yourself in the episode.
Yeah.
What was that like?
It was very strange. I had to focus much harder than I usually do, because like there's two parts of the brain working, and I have to just sort of bounce back and forth. So it became challenging and exhausting, but also exhilarating, so fulfilling. I can't wait to do it again.
That's great. So, one of the really first components of Take the Lead that we started pushing was actually getting more diversity and inclusion into the director's chair. And it's, while Stars, I think, leads the industry in that statistic, it's still, a long way from where I want it to be. How do you think people like you, sitting in the director's chair and the industry now seeing that, where do you think we are in the industry in terms of putting more people like you in that chair?
I think we're on our way. I think the train is on the tracks, right? We know that we want to see more progress, but I think it's critical that networks like Stars, producers, really consciously create the space for the mission to even be there in the business. So us even just being here having this conversation is a huge indication to the work that I think all of us have been doing to make sure that those stories are being told that include women, LGBTQ, BIPOC, and that the content itself has to, of course, be art first. It has to be gripping and has to be entertaining and mean something to people who are seeing it.
Well, I think Hightown means a lot to a lot of really special people that are Stars customers, and you can see it in the numbers. And I'm really excited about season 2 and what you've done there. And so, again, thank you for being here today. Thank you to the ACLU for this award. It really is such an honor for Stars and Take the Lead to be the recipient this year. And so, again, thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you, Jeff.
Hello, I'm Melissa Milano. And let's be clear, access to abortion care is a fundamental constitutional right. Everyone has the right to make healthcare decisions for themselves and their loved ones with freedom and dignity and without barriers, fears, stigmas, or interference. Laws restricting access to abortion care have surfaced in Texas, Mississippi, and other states. The impact of these laws directly harms young, low-income, and Black, Indigenous, people of color, as well as immigrants and all those who cannot travel across state lines to seek abortion care elsewhere. These people are denied the chance to control their lives because these laws take away their choices. These laws deny their freedoms. Beyond protecting the right to legal abortion, we must ensure access to safe, affordable abortions to everyone, regardless of their background or situation. That's reproductive justice, the power to control our own bodies and to determine whether, when, and how to become a parent and how to take care for our families. Even California has work to do. Due to costs and location of healthcare providers, abortion care in California is not easily available to everyone. I know we thought we had tackled this problem, but we are not there yet. Remember this: families thrive, women thrive, and communities thrive when people are allowed to control their own lives, when people are allowed to make their own decisions as to what is best for them and their health. Everyone has someone they love who may need an abortion. All of us need to come together and make our voices heard now. Support the ACLU so that the future generations can make their own choices when they come of age.
I'm back. Did you miss me? By now, you have some idea of the critical work that the ACLU of Southern California does in the courts, the legislature, and in communities. This strikes me as the perfect time to meet the man who shoulders the ACLU of Southern California. Allow me to introduce its executive director, Hector Viagra.
Thank you, Kirby. We live in tumultuous times. Beyond the global pandemic, we've seen our national election challenged. We've witnessed a mob attack our nation's capital. and we're still learning about the efforts to undo the results of the election. It's hard to believe our eyes, yet this moment requires us to be more clear-eyed than ever before, not only to seek the truth, but to know it when we see it. Perhaps the greatest harm we've experienced is the toxicity fostered around truth. It's time to reclaim and defend the idea of truth. You might think this is too much to ask, but at the very inception of our country, we find our self-evident truth. All people are created equal. At the ACLU, we fully embrace this principle, and it drives us to care about every movement for freedom and equality. You can see this in the origin of the ACLU of Southern California in 1923, when writer and activist Upton Sinclair was arrested for standing on a soapbox, daring to recite the Bill of Rights to protest the abuse of striking dock workers. For 2 weeks straight, Sinclair spoke at crowded meetings in Los Angeles. As a result, the ACLU of Southern California was born. Now, nearly a century later, you can see this steadfast commitment in our work. Here are just a few highlights from the past year. We joined impacted families and community partners to sponsor a bill allowing the state to decertify police officers who engage in serious misconduct, ensuring that they can't just quit, relocate, and get hired as police somewhere else in the state. The legislature passed it, the governor signed it, it's now California law. We supported a pilot program to send trained members of community organizations, instead of the police, to the scene of local emergencies, such as a mental health crisis or natural disaster. This historic program is now law too. We are fighting 2 landmark cases in the US Supreme Court, challenging the FBI's secret spying on Muslims solely because of their religion, and challenging the federal government's claim that it can hold immigrants in detention indefinitely without hearings to determine if they can be safely released. With your support, the ACLU of Southern California will continue to promote the truth that we are all created equal. On behalf of our staff across the region, thank you.
I'm Audrey Chan, and I was the inaugural artist in residence at the ACLU of Southern California in 2020. The Care We Create mural came about during the summer of 2020, in the midst of the pandemic and uprisings for racial justice. Our goal was to transform the ACLU SoCal office building into a vision of community care and a better tomorrow that might uplift community organizers, advocates, and anyone fighting for justice. Murals are a powerful art form because they're accessible to everyone, and over time they become woven into their communities. The mural is now the backdrop to weekly rallies led by Black Lives Matter Los Angeles. Their coalition's powerful demands are directed at the headquarters of the Los Angeles Police Protective League, located directly across the street. This stretch of West 8th Street in Westlake is transformed through action into a corridor of care, a radical community space of power building and solidarity. I'm so grateful to have been a part of this project and to see how art can serve movement building.
Hi, we're the Linda Lindas, and thanks for having us. It's important that everyone stands together against hate crimes, and we're glad to take part in this event.
Early in the pandemic, a boy in my class came up to me and said that his dad told him to stay away from Chinese people. After I told him that I was Chinese, he backed away from me.
So Mila and I wrote a song about her experience, and now we're going to play it for you. Be strong, be loud, and be safe, everyone.
Shoot at the street.
My name is Nina Tassler. I and my company, Patma Productions, are honored to serve as executive producers of this brilliant documentary about an extraordinary man, Adi Barkan. At Patma, our objective is to support voices of change. Adi's message, "Be a hero," was a call to action. We are thrilled that Adi is being honored at the ACLU's Bill of Rights Gala. I am proud to be an ACLU supporter. Their work is vital and critical to our very existence. The ACLU firmly believes healthcare is a civil rights issue. Healthcare for all isn't just a slogan. It's not political. It's a basic human right to which all are entitled. It is a privilege to support Adi and not going quietly.
After Carl was born, we felt like we had reached the mountaintop.
Say hi.
And then, out of the clear blue sky, we were struck by lightning.
I was diagnosed with ALS today.
The knowledge that I was dying was terrible. But dealing with my insurance company was even worse. I wanted to spend every moment I had left with Rachel and Carl. But then Congress came after our health care. I couldn't stay quiet any longer.
My next guest made headlines when he confronted a Republican senator on an airplane.
This is your moment to be an American hero. All right, ready to rumble.
We decided to start a movement.
To urge people to stand up, confront the elected officials. All right, I'm gonna knock on your door.
Did you just get out of jail? Are you gonna keep protesting on Monday?
Yeah.
What do we want? Healthcare!
I am willing to give my last breath to save our democracy. What are you willing to give?
Liz, I'm having trouble breathing.
I just think we have to stop.
Our time on this earth is the most precious resource we have.
Carl, I love you so much. Movement building allows me to transcend my body, and that's the beauty of democracy, that together we can be more than our individual selves.
The paradox of my situation is, the weaker I get, the louder I become.
I am delighted to be with you this evening to introduce my friend, Adi Barkan, as he receives this year's Bill of Rights Award. We are at a time of tremendous crisis, a global pandemic, a racial reckoning, fires and floods and droughts from accelerating climate change, and the aftermath of an assault on our nation's capital. But it is leaders like Adi who give me hope. Adi has been a powerful force for good, drawing attention to our broken healthcare system. Adi fights from the heart, both for his own family, his wife Rachel, and his babies Carl and Willow, and also for millions of families across this country. In the fight for social justice, change never comes easy. But Adi and the movement he has behind him bring us closer than we have ever been to making healthcare in America a basic human right. So, congratulations on this well-deserved award, Adi. Keep up the fight. I'm with you all the way.
Hi, Amy Landecker and Bradley Whitford. I don't know if you've ever heard of him, but my husband. You know why he's my husband? Because Adi Barkan performed a ceremony to marry us a couple of years ago. Adi Barkan is one of our favorite people on the planet, and we were trying to figure out who should marry us. Why did we come up with Adi?
We came up with Adi because I think because Adi is everything that I want to believe in. Adi has gone through one of the worst physical struggles a human being can go through. And ALS does not define him. In fact, it revealed him. And it revealed him not as somebody who is walking around saying, look at me, I'm a hero. He is imploring us all to do what we need to do, which is to take an active part in our democracy. He reminds us that action is the antidote to despair. He reminds us that we don't get a democracy, we have to make one every day. He reminds us that there is always going to be an excuse for not participating, but when we don't participate, we sentence ourselves to a gulag that is dictated by the people who do choose to participate, who tend to be the business guys. On top of that, Audrey is one of the funniest, most loving human beings I have ever encountered. And there could be no more worthy recipients of this award this year.
Congrats on the 2021 ACLU Bill of Rights Award, Audrey. We love you.
We love you very much, very much. See you soon.
Hello, and thank you to Senator Warren, Bradley, and Amy for the kind introductions. And thank you to the ACLU of Southern California for this incredible honor. I'm so grateful to receive this award in my home region, and alongside people who have contributed so greatly to our society. The theme for tonight is the damaging impact of misinformation on our democracy. Sadly, we don't have to look far to see the damage. Autocrats here and abroad have propagated falsehoods about a virus that has killed millions. A big lie fueled a bloody insurrection at the heart of our government. Propaganda outlets have convinced a portion of the population to reject fact. But there is another source of misinformation, one less evident but equally insidious. A force that has bought off our elected officials, co-opted our democracy, and silenced the voices of everyday people. I'm talking about the corrosive power of big money in our democracy. 90% of voters, for example, want the government to deliver lower drug prices. But the pharmaceutical industry has repeatedly paid off politicians to block reform. As a result, people cut their pills in half because they can't afford the cost, or go without critical prescriptions entirely. Or take Moderna, which took $1.3 billion from the US government to develop a vaccine and help end the pandemic. In return, Moderna has withheld the life-saving solution from poorer countries, endangering lives worldwide and at home. On countless issues central to our lives, big money has intervened to stop urgent and popular action. Big money is why our government is failing to address climate change, protect voting rights, and provide everyone with basic resources like healthcare, education, and a living wage. We don't use the word enough in the domestic context, but this is corruption of the highest order. And since my diagnosis with ALS 5 years ago, I have experienced the human consequences of this broken system. So tonight I accept this award on behalf of all who fight against big money and still believe we should order our world based on decisions that we make together, not ones dictated by corporations. I am among them, and hope you join me in fighting for our democracy. Thank you.
Hey, how you doing? It's Jason George here. So listen, the ACLU of Southern California is one of the most phenomenal, foundational, and most important organizations in the country. Their sole purpose is to make sure that the Bill of Rights is a reality for you, for me, and especially for those in our community that are most vulnerable. They're here for all of us, regardless of political affiliation. This isn't about politics. Everyone deserves the same rights and freedoms, and the ACLU SoCal works hard to make sure our rights stay protected. So if you've been inspired by what you've heard tonight, come on, Audrey Barkin. Who wasn't inspired by? I'm going to be thinking about that for a minute. If you're inspired by what you've heard, click the link below and give. I'm already a supporter, but no pressure on you. No pressure on you. I just want to make sure you feel the love and become a supporter too. And many of you have already given, but give a little bit more. It won't hurt. Anything you can spare, and I know the ACLU will not complain. So thank you, and stay tuned for the rest of the program. You won't be disappointed. But while you're watching, perhaps these words will echo in your head. click the link below. Click the link below. Click the link. Click the... Give what you can.
Hello, I'm John Erickson, president of the ACLU of Southern California Board. In April, we awarded our 2021 Pro Bono Awards to 7 firms without whose legal support we would not have been able to accomplish as much as we achieved. Every year, dozens of firms and private attorneys donate their time pro bono to co-counsel with us on matters large and small, sometimes committing to the years-long process that some legal cases require. We are truly grateful to all who have partnered with us to advance justice and equality, and congratulate the following firms on their awards. Alexander Morrison and Fair was given the Gender Justice Award for cases that brought attention to pregnancy discrimination, sexual harassment, and lactation discrimination. Bird Morella, Covington and Burling, and Latham and Watkins were given humanitarian awards for work on jail, prison, and detention conditions. Loeb and Loeb received the Community Service Award for support on a variety of advocacy and in-house issues. Morgan, Lewis, and Bacchius received the Civil Liberties Award for issues relating to police in schools in Delano. And Munger, Tolles, and Olson received the A.L. Weirin Pro Bono Award for their outstanding support of several cases. Individual Munger attorneys were honored with the Access to Justice, Immigrants' Rights, and Freedom of Information Awards. Individual attorneys and their awards can be viewed on our event website. Thank you, and congratulations to all the 2021 Pro Bono Award honorees.
Rita, I want to ask you something.
Okay, what?
So you were this young, dynamic, talented beauty, and now you're this incredibly powerful woman. How did you evolve into that?
Life.
Okay, you know what I mean. The courage. How did you become someone who speaks truth to power?
Let me tell you a little story about me. I was your age, maybe younger, trying to find my way, and of course I hadn't found myself yet. And I met this young man named Arie Nair. I hope I'm pronouncing it properly because it's been a very long time. But anyone who knows anything about the ACLU knows that name because ultimately and eventually he became a very important person who gave ACLU enormous fame and respect and admiration. Anyway, he took me to a meeting at someone's house. This wasn't a date. I think he just saw something in me that told him that I needed to know about this. And I was at someone's house at a meeting of the ACLU. I had no idea that such an organization existed. These people talked about standing up for people like me. They talked about worth and value and rights, which could also be my worth, value, and my rights. They saw me. They had been fighting all along for people like me, and I didn't have a clue. So I left that meeting, and it was inevitable. I became an advocate. If the ACLU could fight, I could fight too. I would find my voice, and I wouldn't shut up about the immigrant, the marginalized, the victim, the refugee, and I haven't shut up since.
And you won an award from the ACLU.
I did, but I want to remind people that we don't fight causes for recognition. We fight because we, the people, believe that all men, all women, all people are created equal. Our understanding of equality evolves, but equality is written into the Constitution. That's our bedrock. We have to protect that. We have to defend that.
Yes, Rita. Speak that truth to power.
I haven't stopped, and neither should you.
Oh, I'm just getting started.
Well, I love hearing that. Good. Bring your friends. Bring your friends, because real change will take a lot of us. It'll take all of us.
It is our duty to fight for our freedom.
It is our duty to fight for our freedom.
It is our duty to win.
It is our duty to win.
We must love each other and support each other.
We must love each other and support each other.
We have nothing to lose but our change.
I think a lot of people don't know that I'm an artist. I'm really spending the next 20 years of my work focusing on Black creatives and lifting up Black creativity, whether that's with the Crenshaw Dairy Mart or an MFA program. Usually when you see an art gallery come in, that means gentrification is coming. So what we're trying to do is actually root back down into the community and remind people that art doesn't have to be a gentrifying force. We can actually work in tandem together to help support and uplift the community.
The MFA program is a cohort that's mostly students of color. It's a mostly all people of color faculty, also deeply rare. So I feel very grateful for this program and what it's providing, not just my students, but me, and also the academic and art world.
How do we, yes, respond to the terrible, terrible crimes against humanity? And yet also, how do we build a vision where we can imagine Black people living, Black people thriving? We're fighting so hard because we have a vision. We have a vision for what we deserve, for what every single human being deserves. And when you think about Black Lives Matter, remember that our movement is about imagining a world where Black folks are actually free.
We must love each other and support each other.
We must love each other and support each other.
We have nothing to lose but our change.
We have nothing to lose but our change.
Patrisse Cullors is best known as co-founder of the Black Lives Matter movement, which has expanded into a global foundation supporting Black-led movements in the US, UK, and Canada, and has been nominated for the 2021 Nobel Peace Prize. The New York Times recognized Black Lives Matter as the largest movement in US history. And in 2020, Time magazine recognized Patrisse as one of its 100 Women of the Year. In Los Angeles, Patrisse has been on the front lines of community organizing for 20 years, starting as a teenager. In that time, she led multiple LA-based organizations, Reform LA Jails and the Coalition to End Sheriff Violence in LA Jails, to name a few. She co-founded Dignity and Power Now, which implemented the first ever civilian oversight commission working with the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department. As a freedom fighter, Patrisse walks in the footsteps of Harriet Tubman. As a best-selling author, an educator, an artist, and an activist, she also walks in the footsteps of Audre Lorde, Bell Hooks, and Angela Davis by dedicating her life and her creative talent to a personal mission. For Patrisse, that means undoing the injustices of racism, sexism, and homophobia. In her words, when we say Black Lives Matter, we're talking about more than police brutality. We're talking about incarceration, healthcare, housing, education, and economics. To quote Patrisse when she's on fire doesn't even begin to pay tribute to her creativity, her sensitivity, her artistry, her compassion, and my favorite, her laugh. As of 2020, Patrisse has brought her extraordinary voice to a multi-year overall production deal with Warner Brothers, developing and producing original programming across all platforms, including broadcast, cable, and streaming, with a goal to amplify Black storytelling, Black perspectives, Black talent, and Black creators. It is my great pleasure to present this ACLU Bill of Rights Award to someone who clearly can only speak truth to power, my friend, my hero, Patrisse Cullors.
Thank you so much, America, for that beautiful introduction. I am so grateful for you and so grateful for our friendship. And thank you to ACLU for this beautiful award, for this amazing recognition. I am over the moon that you all asked me to be awarded for this award season. And I just want to give this team context around how ACLU and I became collaborators. And ultimately, so many folks in the organization have become my friends. In October of 2011, two major things happened in my life. First, my older brother, Monty, was released from prison after 6.5 years of serving a sentence for only being in a mental health episode. And secondly, I read the 86-page complaint led by the ACLU going after the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department. In that complaint detailed some of the most brutal things I had only heard from my brother. And when I realized that the sheriffs were being sued for torture against human beings, the first person I called was Monty. And I said, they are finally being held accountable. And I remember his voice on the other end. I remember his breath on the other end of that phone call. And he said, finally. That 86-page complaint would lead to this brilliant and painful performance art piece that I created, Stained, an intimate portrayal of state violence that aestheticized the trauma through that 86-page complaint. That performance piece led to Dignity and Power Now, one of the first organizations that I founded alongside many other Angelenos challenging the Sheriff's Department. A year later, I would develop BLM with my sisters, Alicia and Opal. And for the last 8 years, I have been creating art, I have been moving activism, and I've been developing a culture where we can finally call for abolition. Last summer, we saw some of the most amazing and most powerful protests across the world. And just a few days ago, we saw Kyle Rittenhouse be acquitted for the murder of multiple human beings during a protest. We need right now abolition. We need so many human beings to gather together, to join together so that we can call for love, so that we could call for care and dignity for all human beings. I'm grateful that I get to sit here today and talk to every single one of you about why abolition is so necessary in this moment. And I'm even more grateful that I get to work alongside of every single one of you to fight for a future where our children actually get to live and thrive. Thank you so much. Have a good night.
Hi, this is your old friend, Judd Apatow. Sorry I couldn't be there tonight, but I just tested positive for looking like shit. I'm here to tell you about misinformation. You know, misinformation is a tool that's used to divide us, to create confusion for other people to try to acquire power. And it's important that we fight this. We fight this with the truth. The truth is the only thing that we have. And it's important that we vote and we get involved and we support organizations like the ACLU. But one of the most important things we can do is to seek out trusted sources of information. A lot of people don't know who they can trust, and I wanted to tell you who you can trust. I made a list. So in the future, these are the only people you should trust. Sidney Poitier, Peter Frampton, Mike Ditka, Gail King, Nick Van Exel, Nick Jonas, Dolly Parton, and Oral Hershiser. That's it, okay? But if you just stick with them, you're gonna be okay. Have a great dinner and give them even more money. They ask for a certain amount, but they really want more. So, hook them up. It was a pandemic, but somehow everyone got richer. I still don't know how that worked, but it happened. You know what happened to you. Write a check. It makes no sense.
Hello, I'm John Legend. I am so happy to be able to introduce a wonderful song, Secret Sister, written and sung by my friend Rufus Wainwright, from the documentary Rebel Hearts. This film documents the extraordinary commitment and advocacy of the Sisters of the Immaculate Heart. These rebel hearts took their devotion to a life of service as a call to protest the Vietnam War, racial segregation, and the oppression of women, even while the patriarchy of their church was doing everything in their power to silence them. As the ACLU SoCal is celebrating honorees who have spoken truth to power, it is very fitting that we remember these women who were willing to put it all on the line for their commitment to social justice. That's how I try to live my life. Thank you, ACLU SoCal, for honoring them by including their sterling acts of faith tonight. And now, Rufus Wainwright.
Another day begins, another flower blooms. How you doing, secret sister? Another perfect sun, another falling star. What you thinking, secret sister? The galaxy is wide, and I still cannot hide from the roses. My desire, what's happened on the streets, and all the people's eyes. All we can do is make. I'll make her in the suffering smile. Secret sister, secret sister. The grass is always green beneath your simple shoes. Take me with you, secret sister. I used to think the world a sweet and lovely place where you could harm a shadow. But now the waves have won, and the fires are coming to the valley of the Immaculate Conception. What's happened on the street, and all the people's eyes. All we can do is make. I'll make her in the suffering smiles. Let's go down, you and me. You'll have it in my hand, and we shall go and make. I'll make her in this troubled land. Secret sister of the troubled land. Secret sister of the troubled
Hello, I'm Marla Stone, Chair of the ACLU Foundation of Southern California's Board of Directors. My time with the ACLU has introduced me to the ACLU's awe-inspiring history and its legacy of transformative heroes and pathbreakers. Paulie Murray stands as one of the most innovative and groundbreaking of our ACLU heroes who spoke truth to power throughout their lives. But as so often happens, some heroes are forgotten. Paulie Murray joined the ACLU National Board in 1965, becoming one of our first non-white and non-binary directors. Decades before we had a language for the concept, Paulie Murray forged an intersectional approach to civil, racial, and gender justice work. Murray was a brilliant legal theorist who moved through numerous hurdles as a gender nonconforming Black person. In an astounding career, Paulie was a civil rights activist, a lawyer, a law professor, an organizer for women's rights and economic justice, a writer, a poet, and the very first African-American woman Episcopal priest. Paulie's groundbreaking theories on the Equal Protection Clause formed the foundation for the ACLU's work to dismantle systems of discrimination, including marriage equality. We commend Amazon Studios and Participant Media for bringing Paulie's story back to the world in their documentary, My Name is Paulie Murray, streaming on Amazon Prime. And we are very pleased to share this segment of the documentary with you now.
In the mid-1960s, Paulie was on the board of the ACLU.
The American Civil Liberties Union brought suit today to force a St. Louis suburb to accept an integrated low-income apartment housing project.
The ACLU was already doing quite a bit of work around civil rights cases, but on women, they were like any other institution in our society at the time. Women were not well represented on the board. Paulie was pushing them to move. She wrote a letter arguing that Ruth Bader Ginsburg should be a member of the board.
Paulie was a feisty woman. Paulie had definite ideas, sometimes ideas other people disagreed with. Paulie prodded the ACLU into taking on differentials based on gender.
It's always the people who are experiencing the most forms of discrimination, who have the most insight into how to build the solutions. And Paulie was that person.
In one of the ACLU cases in the South, Blacks were being excluded from the jury. Murray's argument was, well, at the same time we're arguing Black men should not be excluded, women should not be excluded.
This is a violation of their rights under the Equal Protection, a violation of the 14th Amendment. The court came right down the line, actually using our language. After so many losses and so many failures in a lifetime, this was my sweetest victory.
What she did became very important. So important that when Ruth Bader Ginsburg was called on to work on a later Supreme Court case, Reed versus Reed, she used Paulie's work and then credited her.
Justice Ginsburg relied on the analysis that Paulie had developed.
We were not inventing something new. We were saying the same things that Paulie had said years earlier at a time when society was not prepared to listen.
What I say very often is that I've lived to see my lost causes found.
Hey, it's me again. Just reminding you, if you haven't already done it, don't ignore those words that are rolling around in your head. Click the link below. Click the link below. Seriously, give what you can.
Hello, I'm Marley Matlin, and it's a pleasure and a privilege to speak with you on behalf of the ACLU of Southern California and to celebrate Dr. Anthony Fauci. You know me as an actress. My children know me as a mother. My husband knows me as his wife. I'm also a daughter, a good friend, and a very good citizen. All these relationships are important to me, but they became so much more precious during the pandemic. We were finishing our film Coda when COVID-19 changed the world. How could we finish the work and keep our co-workers safe? How could we protect our family and friends, each other? I'm sure you were as relieved as I was when Dr. Fauci stepped up to the podium. I didn't want opinions or perspectives. I wanted the truth. Even as the truth evolved on a day-to-day basis, I wanted the truth from someone I could trust. And Dr. Fauci is a man of science. So while I'm sure he has friends and family, co-workers he cares about, he also has a relationship with the facts. He verifies facts before he speaks. And he has a kind face. Because sometimes the facts are hard to take. When Dr. Fauci told us to be safe, to protect ourselves with masks and social distance, I didn't question it. Like you, I kept my family safe. I protected my co-workers. I checked on friends. When Dr. Fauci told us there was a vaccine, I didn't question it. I trusted the truth. Other people challenged Dr. Fauci when they didn't like what he had to say. Dr. Fauci's courage at that time, his dedication to us, the public, and to the truth, made me trust him all the more. So how do you thank someone for telling the truth in a pandemic? We only express our words and show our heart. And I do bake a very good pie. But fortunately, the ACLU of SoCal has an award, the Bill of Rights Award. Thank you, Dr. Fauci, for your work, your lifelong commitment to public health, and for the truth.
Hi, I'm pop songwriter Justin Tranter, and somehow I am making a new musical with a whole bunch of Tony Award winners. Say hello to Diane Paulus, formerly Eve Ensler, Adina Menzel, and the cast and creative team of Wild at the American Repertory Theater in Cambridge. We are so grateful to Dr. Fauci because tonight is our opening night. And curtain would not be going up if it hadn't been for Dr. Fauci's care and guidance during this pandemic.
I'm so thrilled to lead the ensemble cast of this new musical, but none of this would be possible. Live theater wouldn't be possible if Dr. Fauci hadn't given us the green light and the proper precautions to keep us all safe on the stage, backstage, and in the audience.
Theater is alive again, Dr. Fauci, because of you, because of masks, because of vaccines, and everyone living conscientiously and following your advice. So bless you, thank you. We are so grateful.
Thank
Dr. Anthony Fauci, AKA Tony. How appropriate that the ACLU, which is one of the grandest institutions this country has ever known, should be honoring you, Dr. Anthony Fauci, also one of the greatest institutions this country has ever known, with the Bill of Rights Award. For your courage, moral compass, moral fortitude, intelligence, adherence to science and the truth, speaking truth to power, for your love of your fellow human beings, you have kept us afloat. And with a nod to your nonpartisanship and the nonpartisanship of the ACLU, I will say that you have faced down and continue to face down the most destructive, dangerous, unconscionable bullshit this country has ever had to deal with. For that, we thank you. For myself, I am proud and blessed to say that I consider you a friend and vice versa. And that when I'm in your presence, I know that I am in the presence of a humble greatness. Thank you very much, and congratulations on your award.
Hello, I'm Elton John. What an honor to join you for the ACLU of Southern California's Bill of Rights Awards, and especially to pay tribute to Dr. Anthony Fauci. We're tackling two pandemics right now, the long-standing AIDS pandemic and COVID-19. Early on, during the AIDS crisis, we faced challenges and waited for medical answers. Back then, we had Dr. Fauci, a calm and resolute voice of reason, educating us on what we knew, what to expect, what's on the horizon, and encouraging hope. During that time, I was inspired to establish the Elton John AIDS Foundation, and I came to know Dr. Fauci as a true champion of public health. And then, in 2020, the world was sideswiped by a new global pandemic, COVID-19. But there was Dr. Fauci once again on the front lines, speaking truth to power, at a time of so much sickness, death, and confusion. Sharing knowledge, spreading hope, and living by example. These are things I have learned from Dr. Fauci. For his lifetime of service on behalf of our lives, I cannot imagine a more worthy recipient of this ACLU Bill of Rights Award. Many congratulations, Tony. I love you, and you so deserve this.
Warm greetings and good evening, everyone. I am truly humbled by and appreciate the kind and gracious tributes from three extraordinary individuals. Marlee Matlin, whom I've not yet had the opportunity and the pleasure to meet, Sir Elton John, whom I have known for some time now, and of course my dear, dear friend, Joan Baez. All three of these individuals I hold in high esteem. Many thanks to the ACLU of Southern California for this Bill of Rights Award, an honor I accept with sincere gratitude and humility. It seems a startling paradox that a country that once declared its independence by asserting collective truths should today find itself struggling to sustain truth as an ideal. And yet, here we are, our public discourse buffeted by fake news, so-called alternative facts, and claims that the truth is not the truth. Who could have imagined truths becoming so muddled and lies becoming weaponized? Precisely when we urgently need a unified front to crush the virus that's perpetuating this historic COVID-19 pandemic, instead, the truth repetitively is twisted into a casualty by ideological stands that divide us against one another. While some truths are self-evident, as attorneys and advocates of the ACLU, you understand that in science, as in the law, one arrives at the truth ultimately. We seek to understand. We study, we observe, we question, we listen and test until truths become revealed. Often this requires an extensive, iterative process of investigation that leads naturally to a continuous evolution of data and facts that form our knowledge. Although we operate in different spheres, in my work in public health and your work for the ACLU, we are often allied. I have been privileged, most recently, as the chief medical advisor to President Biden, to help steer the biomedical research response to this global pandemic of COVID-19. During this upheaval, the ACLU has helped to protect and defend the civil rights and liberties of protesters, voters, and people who have been unhoused, incarcerated, or in immigrant detention. Today is not dissimilar to where we found ourselves decades ago, when in the early 1980s, as the new young director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, I was helping to shape the public health response to the emerging epidemic of HIV/AIDS, while the ACLU of Southern California was securing federal protection for that same community of marginalized patients. Today, we are also allied in this battle against misinformation and disinformation that jeopardizes the health of people everywhere, but also our civil rights and our democracy. However uncomfortable, exasperating, or inconvenient it might be to some, throughout my career, I have always upheld the truth. It is a moral principle ingrained in me by my parents and my Jesuit education, as well as my training as a physician scientist. And I believe strongly it is in the best interest of the public I serve. And so, to the ACLU of Southern California, thank you again for this wonderful honor and for your tireless work to keep Americans safe and well.
Hi. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I am marching through my 100th year. July I will be 100. It amazes me. A lot of people think I should be looking back, or that I am looking back, but I'm not. I'm looking forward because our country is at stake.
Yeah, it's true. Today's headlines seem drawn from the past, don't they? Protecting voting rights should not be today's struggle, for heaven's sake. But it is. Last time we won the battle, folks. But today...
Once again, states target Black voters, voters of color in general, really, with voter suppression bills. Efforts to install federal voting rights are blocked by filibuster.
We have been here before, but they cannot win. They won't win.
Legislators may get between people in the ballot box. They may pass unjust laws. They may win elections by preventing or just discouraging people from voting, but they won't defeat the spirit of democracy.
They will not defeat the spirit that empowers millions of Americans to give of themselves to defend voting rights, defeat discrimination, to speak out against racism, sexism, homophobia, and transphobia, to expand educational and economic opportunity. That's the spirit that supports the ACLU.
It all begins with the right to vote. All those years ago, World War II, I flew 52 missions over Germany to protect and save democracy, the right. Oh my God, the blessed right to vote. I'm with you 1,000% all these years later. Bless the ACLU for everything it means, for the breadth and strength and energy it has taken all these years to protect the democracy we cherish.
Yes.
What an amazing evening. I've learned so much, and I hope you did too. In these troubled times, I find such hope and joy in building community. And even though we have once again been distanced by the internet tonight, I hope we've all drawn closer together by paying respect to all of these amazing individuals. I have certainly been inspired by the work of the ACLU, and if you have too, I'm hoping you'll go one step further and click that donation link to support the ACLU of Southern California. Because the truth is, like it or not, in this world we've created, money does equal support. Oh, we have one last surprise for those of you who hung in till the bitter end. A very special musical treat to see you out. You lucky ducks. Thank you so much for participating in tonight's celebration and for paying tribute to the Bill of Rights Awards honorees. Be well, stay safe, and hopefully next year we'll see each other in person.
Hello, my name is Carlos Samaniego, and I'm the founder-director of Mariachi Arcoiris de Los Angeles, or in English, the Los Angeles Rainbow Mariachi, the world's first LGBTQ+ mariachi. We'd like to thank the ACLU of Southern California for the invitation to perform for you all today. We're going to perform an original song entitled Tierra Indiana, or Indigenous Land in English. And it'll be sung by Natalia Melendez, who is the first transgender woman in the history of mariachi. We hope you enjoy our performance. Y que viva el mariachi arcoiris. Thank you.
Quiero cantar esta canción a mi tierra mexicana, a mi raza tricolor, gente hispana y sangre indiana, pueblo de honor y valor y de grande corazón, que lo mismo ha puesto un gallo que le canta un gran amor. Que lo mismo ha puesto un gallo que le canta un gran amor. Hice ese traje de charro en aguas de lentejuela, sobre la frente un sombrero, bajo el brazo una guitarra, para cantarle una canción y robarle el corazón. En una noche de plata decirle cosas de amor. En una noche de plata decirle cosas de amor. Ay, la la la, ay, la la la, ay, la la, ay, la la la. Ay, la la la, ay, la la la, la 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 la. Viven sus hembras de temple y sus muches de valor. Viven sus hembras de temple y sus muches de valor. Échale bonito mi mariachi arcoiris, sí señor. Traje de charro en aguas de lentejuela, sobre la frente un sombrero, bajo el brazo una guitarra, para cantarle una canción y robarle el corazón. En una noche de plata decirle cosas de amor. En una noche de plata decirle cosas de amor. Ay, la la la, ay, la la la, la la la, ay, la la la. Ay, la la la. Ay, la 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 la. Viven sus hembras de temple y sus muches de valor. Viven sus hembras de temple y sus muches de valor.